Welcome back, guys, to the F1 2018 career mode, and you join me here for season 2 at the Temple of Speed for the Italian Grand Prix. We are coming into this weekend with a couple of downforce upgrades and a weight reduction upgrade, and that is going to push us right near the front of the pack, if not make us the fastest car on the grid. So, and obviously coming to Italy, we are the fastest car on the grid, just by a whisker, but we've still got obviously a big old engine upgrade coming as well. But you know, more downforce and a lighter chassis is still going to do absolute bits around this circuit. So you know, we've done well here last year. We've now shot just ahead of Red Bull and Ferrari. You can see it there in the development chart, and we could be on for a good weekend here. Obviously the #1 battle is going to be with Sergio Perez, our teammate, and of course the Ferraris on their home turf. But of course that battle is going to begin on Saturday afternoon with the qualifying. Can we get ourselves pole?
The pit lane will be open shortly, which means it's nearly time for qualifying for the Italian Grand Prix here in Monza.
So here we go. This is the second attempt in qualifying. We're coming across the line. P7 at the moment amongst the Mercedes cars, which they are dropping down the field slowly, but we're building up 226 miles an hour just before we hit the brakes. At the 150 meter board, we go across the split, and we are ahead for the moment, taking the chicane nice and aggressive. You've got to use the curbs here in Monza to maximise your speed and maximise your lap time. The Lesmo corners are a difficult one because, of course, you're running so little downforce. The amount of understeer you can get through these corners is quite a lot. As you can see, they're missing the apex of the corner completely and running wide. But, of course, we've been very aggressive on this lap. Our delta, we are 6/10 up, saving a tiny bit of ERS on this back straight. So we're going to lose a little bit of time. We're 4/10 down currently on provisional pole, but we've saved a little bit in the bank so as we can run out wide and use all of that speed now in the final sector, which is just the straight line and the parabolica. We're nearly a second up on our previous attempt. We swing it and get it nicely, kiss on the apex, and hot lap out of the apex, up towards the line, up into overtake mode. Are we going to be in pole position in Italy? It's provisional fastest with an 18.8. What does that mean for the Grand Prix? Pole versus Perez once more at the Temple of Speed.
Great work out there today. How do you think it went? Looks like you had a great qualifying session. It must be a relief being that far up the grid.
Considering the performance of our car, it's exactly where you would expect us to be.
Have you learned a lot from your battle with your rival?
Probably not too much, but it goes to show we have different strengths and different weaknesses.
Well, thanks anyway.
The Italians love their cars and they love their racing. And of course, they love it here at Monza. Home race for Ferrari, of course, who've had 18 wins here since 1950. But you know, there's not been so much luck for the locals in the cockpit recently. The last Italian driver to win this race was back in 1966. So what now? I think it's time to make some more history here today. With top speeds up to 215 miles per hour and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6-mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the captain. That was a great podium in the last race, so can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. The captain lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Hülkenberg, and Kevin Magnussen. Grosjean, Gasly, Lance Stroll, and Alonso, Hartley, Leclerc, Sergei Sirotkin, and Marcus Ericsson. Van Dorn and Carlos Sainz starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
So we have stuck it on pole, and we're going to pull off the one stop here this afternoon round the Temple of Speed here in Monza, Italy, beating the Ferraris and beating our teammate Sergio Perez, who has shown in recent memory that he could potentially, he's closing in on myself and Sebastian Vettel in the championship at a vast rate or not. So we need to swing the momentum in our favour here in Italy. So we're going to run a little bit heavy because, of course, we're going to utilise that rich mix and that straight line speed. So probably about 3 laps over. It's got that we could go to the medium tyre, but I reckon if we extend our first stint, which I'm hoping to do, we can go to the soft compound tyre, and so that will help us later on in the Grand Prix just be a little bit more competitive in the second stint. 'Cause the mediums are not a lot of fun around here. I do that one lap on them in the track acclimatisation in practice, and it's just not good. 4.4 wings, more than probably what we could run, but it just helps me in the corners a little bit. Just quickly flicking through the setup. Now, obviously, I've gone quite aggressive on the suspension, so that means that we could be in trouble with trying to get the tyres to last, but, it's going to be down to myself and how I manage that, and more importantly, how hassled and how busy we are in this opening stint, as we have 5 lights at the Italian Grand Prix, and the lights are out, and away we go. Do we bog down? Bit of wheel spin as we move across the track. Perez immediately shoots past us on the right-hand side, and now we've got to be worried about the Ferraris of Raikkonen and Vettel. Down into turn 1, we brake incredibly late, far too late. We have to bump across the curbs, not going to take advantage of that. We have to let Perez through. He gets through way quicker than expected. Raikkonen fights through, and so does Vettel. We found ourselves from pole position down to 4th as we side by side with Vettel through Curva Grande up towards the second chicane. Can we pull ahead of the Ferrari? Keep it nice and calm and collected under brakes with fat with fuel, and the tyres are cold, and that we have retained the position into 3rd place, but we have lost out due to being too hot into the first chicane. So Perez leads from Kimi Raikkonen, and then myself in 3rd with Sebastian Vettel there down in 4th. He did give me a good solid whack though, so I wouldn't be surprised if Vettel has some front wing damage. But we come to the end of the first lap, and we are sitting in the slipstream of Kimi Raikkonen. Now we're going to see just the power of the Mercedes engine in the back of this Force India. Raikkonen moves across. We're going to go to the left-hand side. It is the racing line. It's also the outside, but it switches to the inside on the second part of Variante Alta. That's the wrong chicane name, but I'm going with it anyway. Anyway, we go up through Curva Grande. Raikkonen tries to sit in our slipstream. He could potentially make a move into the second chicane, but Raikkonen not quite having the power, and that moves us up into 2nd place and back behind our teammate Sergio Perez, but the gap's already 2 seconds to Perez, so now we've got to try and focus on reeling him in. So we're going to have to burn a lot of the fuel in this opening stint. Perez with a 22.1. We do a 22.6 at the end of the second lap, but you have to remember, as part of that lap, we had to pass Kimi Raikkonen round the outside of the first chicane. So now we've got a little bit of clear air behind our teammate. Let's utilise Rich. Let's keep ERS under control for now, as Raikkonen does get a very good run out of the Rettifilio. That's what the name of the chicane is. Through Curva Grande, he does actually pass me, and he tries to give me a bit of a squeeze, bit of wheel banging, but just on the top end, all I had to do was flick ERS from medium to high, and on the top end, we have obliterated Raikkonen in a straight line, and that's without our ultimate engine upgrade that we're due for Japan. So we move on to lap 4. Perez really hasn't got that much further ahead of us. Raikkonen sits P3, and then there's a Mercedes back in P4, so you can assume Vettel did have to make a pit because of that clout that he had with me. I've run wide into the gravel, and that's going to put me on the back foot as we are trying to chase Perez down, but Vettel's dropping down the field, and there's a big gap between this top 3 and the 4th place car, like I said. So we're pushing, we're on the ragged edge at the moment, on for a personal best. We're still 2 seconds behind Perez though, so we need to just keep our head down, and this might be a complete race-long battle because he hasn't really got that much over me as we cross the line. Even after the mistake we made going wide at Lesmo 1, we have set the fastest lap of the race with a 21.8, first man into the 21s. Perez only a second and a half ahead of me, showing that we do have the speed on the top end, so we are gaining a lot of time in the final sector. So here we go then. Perez still just ahead of us now, and you can see the gap visually is a lot closer. We nearly set an identical lap time at 21.9, but Raikkonen into the 21.6. Of course, he's getting the benefit of slipstream and DRS against me, but you can just see we're closing up to Perez, and at the end of lap 6 we've pulled a bit of a gap to Kimi Räikkönen. We are burning the fuel. Like I said, we've gone from 3 laps now to plus 1.6, and Perez's name tag is just starting to become a little bit more solid, and we're within a second, and this is our first bite of DRS up behind Perez. So we're going to save a bit of fuel, save a bit of DRS as we close up to the back of him, and just look how much we gain under braking to our teammate. This is far from over. This was not a whoever gets into the first corner first wins this race. This is a battle at Monza. We've now got 2 seconds to Räikkönen. We've broken the DRS, and it now potentially could turn into a 2-horse race here. I've lost a lot of speed through Ascari though, down towards Parabolica. We are in the slipstream, and we're going to use rich and high once again to keep in tow of Perez, and this could be the lap now. Get a nice clean exit. Don't use too much of the runoff because it is slippery. Get into his slipstream and use some DRS. We're still on high. We're going to go down to low. We're going to try and save DRS. Do we try and sail past him? We haven't closed up as much as I expected to, but Perez, he goes defensive and he locks up, but he is able to get his car under control going into the Rettifilo. So, you know, initially I was looking at saving a bit of fuel because I was too far back. I'd have had to make a dive bomb, and then of course, you know, we'd just end up like we did on the first lap. But we are gaining on Perez, and now we're sticking close behind him. Now is the lap, I think, where we're going to strike out of Parabolica. Perez is harvesting energy, as you can see, with the back of his, the light on the back of his car. So we're going to go up to overtake and Rich. Here we go, slingshot past our teammate on the main straight into first, well clear of him, back onto the racing line for the first chicane. And now we can turn the ERS down. Now we have the ultimate clean air at the front of the pack. Now it's down to us. Like I said, can we now stretch these tyres, as we are due to pit this lap number 9, for the medium tyres? Can we try and stretch them? As Perez now is going to move to the outside. Is he going to try and make a move on me? I think I'll just make it so we can't turn in, utilise, you know, where my car was parked. So it's the end of lap 9. You can see I have switched to the soft tyre already because the pace is still there in the car, and we're not coming into the pits. The tyres are in the 40%, but they're not completely dead yet. Any kind of time we're losing at the moment compared to our best lap is because of, you know, DRS and slipstream, and we're not so much running on rich or high ERS mode. So just reconfirming with my team that I definitely want the soft tyre for the next pit stop, but we're going to come out and we're not going to pit again. We're moving on to lap 11. We've now this is going to be the second extra lap that we do on this set of tyres, and I'm glad I am, because Perez and Räikkönen appear to be doing the same thing. If we'd come in at lap 9 and gone to the medium, if these guys then extended the stint, then we would be in trouble. We would be on mediums for the rest of the race, and we'd be on the and they'd be on the soft side. Meanwhile, Perez gets it all wrong. Tried to attack. Now I was explaining my strategy. Perez tries to attack into a Parabolica because of how slow I was out of Ascari. He's diving into the pit, so Perez making his stop at the end of lap 11. We now need to push on the end of lap 12. I was also confused by the strategy. The team wants me to do a no stop, which isn't possible. But Perez got locked up into Parabolica, ended up clouting me in the side pod. I've got no damage. I don't know about him. But Räikkönen's, you see, this is the interesting part of the strategy. Räikkönen's gone to mediums even after extending the first stint. So he's taken himself out of the race. Perez onto the soft tyre. So I've had to push rich and hot lap mode. As you can see, in comparison to my personal best lap of the Grand Prix, we're only 800ths down, even though the tyres are that much more worn. So I have poured everything into this in lap. We're going to turn the ERS down just a little bit now, and we get oh so lucky with a VSC as we're going to be coming into the pits. Now I don't know how much this is going to impact. I mean, the VSC is deployed currently. Is it going to end as soon as we come into the pits? We do get it nicely slowed down because we had to be calmer, of course, because of the VSC. And it's ending while we're in the pit lane. Perez is on a straight, so I don't know how much this is going to impact it. What do we get from the Force India boys? A lovely 2.1, and the VSC has ended. So where are we going to be? Of course, we turn it up to rich and high to come out of the pits. All in all in the pit lane, we've lost 23.5 seconds. Perez just now crosses the start-finish line, and we are well clear of our teammate. So was the VSC influential for track position? We have got a few seconds over him where we were nose to tail. So I don't know in relation to if that affected the position. But now, of course, we have less time on this tyre. And, of course, we're now on a softer tyre. But Perez has switched them on his outlap. And he is looking much more aggressive than I am. He steams past me down towards Ascari. And where I look to have the pace over him on the super soft tyre, when it comes to the soft tyre, Perez now looks to be, you know, the one with the advantage. His car, his setup, whatever he's got going on, is working better on this particular tyre. So we're just going to sit behind him. We're just going to wait till the DRS zone. That's when we will strike. Raikkonen has dropped to 6 seconds back. The medium's there. If Ferrari felt they needed to run them to get to the end on the one stop, then they've cost themselves really the race. But Perez, 21.5 on his first full flying lap out of the pits. We go up to Rich and overtake, and it's 224 miles an hour as we slam on the brakes. We've had to put ourselves on a really tight line into the first chicane, but we've got back past Perez, and it's going to be like, cast your minds back to Rosberg and Hamilton in Bahrain, just constant overtake, slipstreams and DRS, because here comes Perez again now. His car is stronger through the Lesmo corners, and he's able to get me on this back straight with that sort of helping of DRS. But then, like I said, our car is just that much better through Ascari and onto this straight before Parabolica. You can just see the amount of speed I've carried out of Ascari compared to Perez. I'll leave him on the inside, brake early to make sure that I am the one to get DRS. It's put him offline mid-corner, so it's meant he can't utilise as much as the exit of the corner as I can to get up to speed. Now we're going to sit behind Perez, DRS open, and once again we're just going to breeze past him. Didn't even need to turn up the ERS this time around. Don't need to run the higher engine mode. And 12 laps to go, 13 if you include the one we are on. And this is going to be the rest of the afternoon, I think, for myself and Sergio. Obviously, we don't want to throw away a 1-2. You know, the amount of times we saw Perez and Ocon run into each other in actual Formula 1. So, you need to keep on top of things here. And, of course, I do have some concerns over the tyre, because naturally I am harder on the tyres than the AI. So, we'll see what happens with Perez. But he's dropped back a little bit on the end of lap 15. He didn't get to pass me that time around, and we set a personal best lap of the Grand Prix, and the fastest lap, of course, down to a 21.4. I think we could have the measure. Perez hasn't been able to get past me or attack me down the main straight. Of course, that's, like I've said, where we are the stronger car, so it's down to the back straight, and you can see on lap 16, Perez once again not able to pass me. So now we're just trying to keep on top of things. I've taken a big lump of curb through Ascari. That's cost me a huge amount on the exit, and look at Perez just surge past me. I was starting to get into a rhythm ahead of him, and that has been broken by my mistake. Perez, though, speaking of mistakes, he makes one himself into a Parabolica, and that might just be the thing that costs him the Grand Prix, as, of course, we were the ones behind him, so we are the ones that get DRS, and the gap now over a second, and that is what was important for keeping Perez in contact with me, that he was within a second for all DRS zones. End of lap 21. Oh, sorry, beginning of lap 21, the gap has increased to 2 seconds. We're only running medium and medium on ERS and standard fuel mixture. We're keeping everything in check, and Perez just can't come back at me. So now that he's lost the advantage of slipstream and DRS, he is falling back. However, end of lap 23, we come up now to lap some cars, and we've got a ferocious battle between the two McLarens and what looks like a Toro Rosso. So this race isn't over yet. Now we've got Sirotkin, we've got Alonso, we've got a VSC, at which point I did actually pass Alonso under VSC. It was to lap him though, so I'm going to assume that was okay. We're going to use this opportunity though, save a little bit of fuel, save a little bit of ERS, because Perez could easily strike. As you can see, obviously I've got two McLarens between me and him, but it means he can get DRS. And Brendan Hartley, now we've made contact with Brendan Hartley through Ascari. I don't know if that's just brought any damage on for us, but Sirotkin gets out of my way. So I'm past 4 cars and through a bit of traffic that Perez now has to pass. And it has given me the opportunity to turn the engine back up, because I think we've now got enough to run him rich for pretty much the remainder of the Grand Prix. Speaking of the remainder of Grand Prix, we move on to lap 26. Perez has cleared the traffic and is closer to me, but we have cruised up behind the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, the team that I am destined one day to join, and we just breeze past him in a straight line. Look at that, in a circuit that's all about speed, all about top-end performance, which Mercedes is known for. They have been beaten by their junior, their customer team. We cut on to the final lap of the race. Perez closed up. It wasn't enough. We come round Parabolica, one last time with hot lap mode, trying to do the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Don't know if we're going to have enough in the tank, but we are going to win at the Temple of Speed.
Superb driving. That's the race win.
I can see them on their way out to the podium now. Force India have really come a long, long way in this sport. And what a special race this was to see them earn that top spot.
There we have it then. Exactly, you know, formulated plan came together and we won the Italian Grand Prix from our teammate Sergio Perez by 1.3 seconds. Raikkonen 13 seconds back using that medium tyre, so he dropped back to P3 for Ferrari. Verstappen and Ricciardo doing surprisingly well in Red Bull on a power track to bring it home in 4th and 5th. Bottas there, the lead Mercedes in 6th, and the only Mercedes to get points. Vettel dropped to 7th, a minute off the pace was Sebastian Vettel after, of course, the first lap clouting me. I don't know if that had something to do with the performance of the rest of his afternoon. Perez did beat me to the fastest lap by half a tenth, and we have Magnussen, Hulkenberg and Grosjean rounding off the points. But a perfectly formulated plan, a perfectly formulated strategy, and a good, clean fight with Perez. That's what I loved about it. The other capitalised on the other's mistake. There was no sort of, you know, argy-bargy, as it were. We move within a race win of Sebastian Vettel's championship lead. 24 points ahead is the German, with Perez a further 23 back from myself. So things are getting hot as we break the 200-point barrier as well and become the second man to do so. And Force India move within 4 points of Ferrari in the constructors' standings. We beat them in their own backyard.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. It doesn't get much better than a win at this track, does it?
I mean, it was on the cards, and a really satisfying feeling to win a proper on-track battle.
Things are looking up after last week, aren't they?
Definitely, and it was the right circuit for things to just turn around.
Appreciate your time.
So there we have it. We have the Italian Grand Prix. We've racked up a nice amount, a sizable amount of resource points, 1,300 off the back of this weekend, coming into it with 2 after our triple upgrade, a front and a rear downforce, and the chassis weight. The next upgrade we are expecting will come at the Japanese Grand Prix, which is the ultimate engine upgrade. So still got a couple races left to wait on that one. We move on next time to Russia. It's the Russian Grand Prix up next, I believe. I'm honestly not 100% what the next track is. I am a professional Formula 1 YouTuber. I am neither professional, probably even not really an F1 YouTuber. I just upload this because I enjoy playing it, quite frankly. I just kind of fall into the routine of doing kind of what I want. But if you guys have enjoyed, please leave a like on the video and comment any feedback down below. Would be greatly appreciated. We are closing in. Can we potentially win the title next time out? Or not next time out. What am I talking about? This season. Just we are closing down on Vettel. He cracked under pressure. I mean, we didn't do ourselves any favours in turn 1, but this is now a second race in a row where we've made a mistake and we've come back. You know, Belgium, we came back from 13th to 3rd. Here, we came back from 4th to a win. Doesn't sound as impressive, but, you know, we had to fight tooth and nail for this one. So, yeah, we'll head on out to the next race. Can we continue on this momentum swing? I will see you all next time.